What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and of course, tonight you're watching another episode of Tuesday Night Mania. Let me introduce to you my co hosts for the evening. Let's go ahead and start out with the man that wears the bald head, I guess the best. That's what people have said. He goes by Big B. How you doing tonight?
Doing okay. Always glad to chit chat wrestling with everybody. One of my favorite things to do Tuesday nights. One of my favorite nights.
All right, and then of course he's barely here, but tonight he's making a guest appearance for us tonight. Uh, let's go ahead and welcome him in, Mr. Mess Around Dave. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. Just got off work a little I don't know, noon and took a nap, so I'm good.
I like it. And then Ray's hopping in saying, "Let's go, Ray. We hope you're having a good night." And then of course Lou Thompson saying, "Hey yo." So hey, what's going on? And then of course welcome him in, the guy that I'm kind of jealous about because we got to meet him a little bit of a Johnny Drip up in here. So how's it going tonight, Mr. William Hudson?
What's up, guys? Hey, a lot of great times this weekend, man. I am so tired. It is ridiculous, but I'm here. I'm excited to be here. Just literally got done a few minutes ago with a killer sale. My office is a train wreck, so you'll notice my settings are a little different tonight. I had to move over into my comfy chair, my man chair, in front of the blinds, instead of my office setting with my beautiful posters in the background. I'm super excited to be here. Had a hell of a weekend, dudes, and ready to get this thing rolling.
Absolutely. So, of course, we're going to start out with a very special topic tonight, as requested by Will himself. So we got to go ahead and jump into this topic. And forgive me if I say this wrong, Will, but I believe the topic was never meet your hero. Is that correct? Never meet your hero is the first topic. So, Will, can you explain to me why you wanted to do this topic?
Yeah, man, I can. So I was hoping some of my admins would jump in here because some of them were with me, but I wanted to talk about this real quick. You know, it's super cool hanging out with wrestlers. It's super cool bringing them to conventions. It's super cool getting autographs and pictures taken and all that stuff. But you know, sometimes it's just not super cool meeting your heroes or meeting the wrestlers. So
don't disappoint me, Will. Don't disappoint me.
I had an experience that I want to share. It turned out okay, but I can tell you it was probably the weirdest, nastiest situation I've ever been in. So, you know, we did the convention. We had an awesome guest, LA Smooth. You just can't get a better guy. You can't get a better guy out there. He's just phenomenal. The dude is awesome. And then John Morrison, Johnny Drip, Johnny Superstar, whatever you want to call him, Johnny Mundo. The dude's just phenomenal, super cool, just cool as shit, man. Love the guy to death. Treated us like family. We treated him like family. We have a great time at all these shows. So Friday we do our thing. We have photo ops. We get done with photo ops. We go straight into autograph signing. We're slammed busy the whole time. I mean, we barely took a break. We're just slam-packed busy, which is good from the promoter side, you know. We get done with that. We go to dinner, have a great time, get back to the hotel, and I hear a commotion in the hallway. And this is probably, I'm going to guess, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And, of course, me and most of my crew are still in my room. We're all hanging out, talking wrestling, having a great time. And I hear a commotion in the hallway. And I open my door to see what it is, and it's Matt Cardona, Chelsea Green, Gallows, Brian Myers, a bunch of them out there, you know, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, you know, they're all in the hallway, you know, and they stopped to see John, who was in the room next to us, and, you know, so I saw him out there, and I had a card that was laying on my table that I was planning to get signed the next morning by Chelsea at her table, and they're all out there, you know. I can tell you they've been drinking. I'm not saying anything about John. I'm saying about this group of wrestlers that came by John's door. And I can tell you they've been drinking. And it was really a different view on what you would normally expect with your heroes. Because, I mean, a lot of those guys, you know, are our favorites and some of our favorite wrestlers. And so I grab the card, I grab a marker, and I go out there. And, dude, I had an awesome show. I had an awesome show. I promoted my talent. I had a pocket full of money. I mean, my pocket was decent because I had a great show. And I saw Chelsea in the hallway, and I said, "Hey, Chelsea, I have a card. Would you mind signing it for me?" Very nice, very respectful, very professional. And she says, "No, you can come to the table tomorrow and pay just like everybody else." And was so nasty to me. And here's the kicker. Here's what pissed me off. Above and beyond all else, one of the wrestlers, I don't know if it was Brian Myers or Gallows or who it was, laughed because they thought it was hilarious that Chelsea would be so rude to a fan. We're in a hotel. I have 7 or 8 rooms booked with wrestlers and admins and group members of our group, and I have a pocket full of money. I didn't want anything for free. I gladly would have paid her.
Yeah.
And she was so rude, and I've never, ever in my life had a sports star, never had a wrestler, never had anybody in my life talk to me like that, like I was a dog. And it made me think, I know she plays a heel on TV, but this wasn't character from TV. This was her normal, personality. That what a really terrible person she must be. So I just wanted to kind of get that out. Sometimes it's just not great to meet your heroes. I would never book her. I would never work with her. I would definitely shout out to Vince, John Laurinaitis. I would shout out to Bruce Pritchard, Tony Khan, all those guys. I would never work with her. And I hope to never see her on TV. I mean, just an awful person to treat anybody like that. It's just terrible, And then to have another wrestler, I can't remember if it was Gallows or Myers that was there that laughed and thought it was funny to treat a fan like that. But I will tell you that as mad as I was because it was so disrespectful, and I would have paid, literally I had a pocket full of cash. If she told me, sure, $50, which is way more than she's worth for an autograph, I would have paid it just because. But I will tell you the next day, I still had that same card that I needed to get signed, and my wife went to her table to get the card signed for us that we wanted to get signed. And my wife said to her, "Hey, my husband approached you last night in the hotel because we brought in talent, and we're not just some random people. I mean, we're here with wrestlers, and he would have paid you." And she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I had something going on, and it just caught me off guard, and it wasn't what I meant." And she did profusely apologize, but the point of the story is, the moral of the story is, don't always assume your talent or your favorite wrestlers or your favorite people are going to treat you with respect, although they should, because we all should treat each other with respect. I would have understood if she said, "I can't right now. I'm here to, sign autographs for money or whatever." I would have paid her, but she was so disrespectful. And like I said, the other talent thought it was funny that she was so disrespectful to me, that I would never work with her. And like I said, she did apologize. She did try to make it right. So I do respect that and I appreciate that. But I can tell you, don't go try to always meet your heroes. The person they are signing at the table, especially in this case, is a totally fake person, because the real her was awful. So that's my story, guys.
Well, do you think that alcohol played a factor? Because we know everybody said that alcohol brings out the true person in them.
Absolutely. I think it played a factor, and I think it showed her true character. I think that's the person that she truly is, and I have a feeling that she's probably like that a lot when she's off camera. And and again, same thing with the wrestler that thought it was funny to treat a fan like that.
Ben said it was Cordova.
No, Cardona said at the table, buddy. Kind of trying to just dismiss me, but it was one of the other wrestlers that literally laughed. It was like a bellowing laugh. So I really think it was Gallows. It might have been Myers, but either way, and they have their own podcast too. But I can tell you, just totally unprofessional to treat anybody like that.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that Warren Marlowe, he left a comment that said that, that Chelsea Green had kind of always been like that. That's kind of how she's always been. Roger Cooper saying that he had a similar situation occur with Booker T. And honestly, I don't know. I've never met any of these individuals. Maybe you've met Booker T. I don't know. Have you
I
met
have.
Booker T?
I
Did
have.
you have a similar situation with Booker T?
I didn't. Like I said, I've never ever had this ever. Like ever. I mean, I've met football players, baseball players, hockey players, wrestlers, NASCAR drivers. Never ever have I had this happen. And again, I've had people tell me no, no, I can't, or I'm sorry, whatever. But it was so disrespectful that even my other admins in my room came out to see what was going on. My wife came out to see what was going on because it was so disrespectful. And you're talking about guys that were drinking. One of them left bottle caps in the hallway for a little kid to step on. I mean, just just my opinion, just true scum. But that's my opinion, just my opinion. But she did the next day, apologize and stuff. So I moved on from it. But I wanted to just share that, not just in relation to her or them, that I would never support them again. I would never buy another autograph. I would never buy another T-shirt. I would never buy another ticket to an Impact event. And I would encourage everybody else to think before they did too. But it's just the idea that no matter who the talent is, I wasn't stalking them at an airport. I wasn't waiting for them in a hotel lobby. It just happened to be a moment of chance, and I saw them there. And I assumed because I was a promoter and brought in wrestlers, and they were stopping to talk to one of the wrestlers that I brought in, that it was okay just to walk up and say hi and all that stuff. And they treated me like a dog. So,
Well, that
but
sucks.
let's move on with the show, guys.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But it was a good story. It's good to hear your side of things and to see exactly what happens out there. But
I'm actually surprised you went and got the card signed the next day.
My wife did. My wife did.
So our next topic that we're going to talk about, kind of interesting, just a random topic. It was just off the top of my head. I just kind of wanted to throw it out there, and the reason is because I kind of saw this going around out there on Facebook and YouTube, where people were talking about, like who has the best entrance as far as like, WWE, AEW, Impact or whatever. So my thing is if you guys could actually have your own entrance theme or whatever, what would you want to have? And to go on top of that, who do you feel has the best entrance in any promotion out there? And so, Big B, I'll start with you. If you could have an entrance, what song would you use, and who has the best entrance?
For me, honestly, I would have my brother write my entrance song. He's toying around in the rap music industry. So I would have him write some kind of not hard heavy metal, but kind of a hip hop hard song, heavy metal type. Something I don't know, but the guy that has the best interest right now, I gotta go Cody Rhodes. I liked it when it was in AEW. I liked it when he brought it over to WWE. So even his entrance for WrestleMania, I thought was sweet. So I'll go Cody Rhodes.
All right, well, we do have a few comments that are going in here now. So Ricky Smith is saying, I like Voodoo Child was one of the best in the songs ever. Ben saying best entrance hands down was Undertaker. I know
Overall, yes.
Love the Undertakers. And even Oe Sheets is saying the Undertaker, but Wills is saying has to be Jericho because they're saying how his entrance has gone like just crazy over the last couple of years. How his entrance has really picked up. Like you watch a AEW event and everyone is singing Jericho's entrance. But I definitely agree with you though that Cody Rhodes entrance has really grown too. The American Nightmare. It's such a great entrance. But mess around, Dave. If you could have an entrance, what would you have, and who has the best one?
For me, I would probably go with Disturbed, Down with the Sickness is my song. And then for the best one for me, I've always liked The Undertaker, but I'm going to be a little homer on this one, say my boy Randy Orton.
Oh, I thought you go Mandy Rose.
But all right, so we also have Joe, he's chiming in saying Goldberg. Thanks for that, man.
I knew that was coming at some point.
We have a few people who are saying CM Punk. We've even had somebody throwing out Edge and Bryan Danielson. So I mean, there's probably a lot that you can go off that have been spectacular. Edge is another one. CM Punk used to be a big one. Like whenever his music would hit, people would go crazy for
It's
CM
clobbering time.
Right. It's clobbering time. Kevin is saying loved Bobby Roode during his NXT time. So that was another one. All right. Will, this one comes to you. Who has the best entrance and what entrance would you like to have?
So let me throw this in three different directions because I want to really aggravate Big B with this one. So best on TV entrances, bar none, Bray Wyatt. Absolute best one on TV, Bray Wyatt. Second best or current on TV entrance would be Roman Reigns. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. But best in person entrance of all time, hands down, and I've been there.
Disco Inferno.
I've been there for Undertaker. He is not Disco Inferno, Big B. You know better. I've been there for Hogan, but the best entrance in person, hands down, is The Rock. Nothing better in the world. You get that little bit of static electricity on the monitors going across and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden his music hits, and then he comes out, and it's so deafening. Even in Sun Life Stadium, which is a pretty good sized stadium in Miami. It's a stadium. It's open. It's totally open. There's no cover or anything like that. And it's totally deafening in there when The Rock walks out. WrestleMania 28, as a matter of fact, one of my all-time favorites. I attended it in person. Rock versus Cena was called Once in a Lifetime, which was garbage because, as you know, WrestleMania 29, Rock versus Cena number 2 happened, so it wasn't Once in a Lifetime. but that's another story for another time. He comes out, we have Flo Rida singing, his song Wild One right before The Rock's entrance. So it really gets everybody fired up. Then his entrance hits and all the way around the arena. If you have the opportunity to go back and watch that on Peacock, they do this promo video right before it all starts with the song from Fun, We Are Young. It was super cool. And then just being in person, people talk about how you can feel the energy. You can literally feel the energy when The Rock comes out into an arena. You literally can feel it. And I've been there multiple times when The Rock has come out. Cena gets a tremendous pop, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same. The Undertaker, tremendous pop. The biggest thing I remember about The Undertaker's entrances, because I always seem to be sitting near there, was how hot. It is so hot, like scalding hot, because they shoot those flames up by the ramp, and the temperature increases by 30 degrees, if that's possible. Maybe more. It's so hot when he comes out because of that fire. But hands down, The Rock. If I was to have an entrance into an arena as a wrestler, and I could have that as an option out of all the songs out there, out of all the entrances, hands down, I would have The Rock's entrance.
All right, I like it. Before we go on a little bit here, I want to drop some news since we have quite a few people watching right now. I want to drop some breaking news that if anybody has not seen this, I know everybody here knows, but I want all of our viewers to know that Coast to Coast, if you are interested in OVW wrestling, Coast to Coast now has permission now to where we're going to be actually showing live. You can come on Coast to Coast live and watch OVW wrestling right here every Thursday night. So if you want to watch live wrestling, hop on to Coast and you'll be able to watch it right here, especially if you're an OVW fan. So we're very excited to be able to bring it to you.
And let's give the proper props out to Garrison Creed.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Garrison Creed's the one who
somebody made the comment in the chat. I think it was Ricky Smith that said the entrance Hogan used to have in WCW with Voodoo Child was incredible too. I've been there in person, and if you watch Peacock, or you watch the network, you'll never hear the Voodoo Child version because they didn't buy the rights to it. So you'll only hear the NWO song. But when Hogan used to come out to Voodoo Child, you talk about goosebumps. You would get chills in the arena because when that guitar would hit and you would hear it, that was some incredible stuff too. Because even Hogan as a heel, as NWO Hollywood Hogan, was just phenomenal. I mean, it's like you're almost in awe, especially at that time with Hulk Hogan because he was still the biggest thing in the business, even though he was in WCW. He didn't have to be in WWF to be the biggest thing in the business. So when that Voodoo Child would hit, man, that was incredible. So great call out, great point. I think it was Ricky Smith. Excellent point.
You know what, though? I will agree with you on the Bray Wyatt one. I always thought that the Bray Wyatt entrance was really cool, especially when he would hold up the lantern and be like, "We're here," and then his music would just hit. That was so cool. I actually missed the Wyatt family. I thought that was so freaking amazing. The Wyatts, and I know people might not like this, but the Wyatts and the Shield were actually like two of my favorites, especially when they were feuding. That was great. The Wyatts and the Shield was freaking awesome. But I did also like. I don't want to go too far off track, but because we're talking about this, I also liked it when the Shield were feuding with Evolution. That was another great one too. But all right, so our next topic, and I know Will really likes to bring these up. So historical moments, Will, what do you got for us tonight?
So historical moments, you think about April, you got to think about WCW Spring Stampede. April always reminds me of that. You had some great in your houses during April, but nothing, nowhere near what WCW had. I mean, I could probably chronicle every one of them, but I want to focus on one specifically that I truly love. And it was just before, only a couple months before Hogan came to WCW. You had Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat in the main event of Spring Stampede 1994. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. The card as a total is great. I believe it was Big Boss Man versus Vader on there. Some other great matches too. But Flair and Steamboat on there. It might have been Sting and Vader. I can't remember, but I think it was Boss Man and Vader. But Flair and Steamboat put on a classic match between the two of them. And when it ended, if you were watching the pay-per-view, when it ended, there was no winner because both men's shoulders were down. You didn't know what was going on. Back then, it's 1994. There's no internet. There's no dirt sheets. There's no nothing. So, the pay-per-view ends. Both men get pinned. You can't figure out what's going on. And it looks like Ricky Steamboat's won the world title. So you don't know until the following. So that was on a Sunday. You don't know until the following Saturday night at 6:05. Remember WTBS 6:05 Saturday Night Wrestling, right? Yep. You don't know till then that there's no winner determined, and they go through another match on Saturday night, and they end up, Flair ends up keeping his title. But at the end of that Spring Stampede, it looks like they crown Ricky Steamboat as a champion, and Flair loses it. But that's not ultimately what happens. There's no winner decided. Phenomenal match. Classic Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat's one of those guys that went his entire career as a good guy. And to this day, if you run into Ricky Steamboat, he's a good guy. You know what I mean? Just a great person all around. But, classic match, Spring Stampede, 1994, WCW. Go back, watch it. Check it out on Peacock. Check it out on the network. Check it out on YouTube, wherever you watch stuff. That's a classic. Spring Stampede 97, I want to cover this one too. DDP and Macho Man, main event. And, the Macho Man goes to DDP and says, "Hey, brother, I want to put you over tonight." And DDP is in awe because he can't believe he's going to actually win a match against Macho Man. He thinks that the finish is going to be Macho Man beats him, and, that's that. But DDP gets a victory over Macho Man at Spring Stampede 97, puts DDP on the map, makes DDP a real contender. And, of course, ultimately it leads to DDP being in main events. It leads to DDP being a 3-time world champion. DDP, hats off to you, man. Heart goes out to you. That guy right there has done more to save people than anybody I can think of, as far as any professional athlete. But Spring Stampede '97 really puts DDP on the map. So go check those out. Those are some great historical moments, guys. Tremendous, tremendous matches.
Yeah, so they keep talking about Halloween Havoc, and then Thomas is saying the most memorable moment for him is Rowdy Piper showing up unannounced at Halloween Havoc '96. Now,
Yep.
Speaking of talking about, people showing up unannounced, this year we saw, Cody Rhodes appearing at WrestleMania, but the thing is a lot of people kind of knew it was coming because it was kind of floating around the internet. So I'm saying, can you imagine if the internet was not there today, and then like you're sitting there watching WrestleMania, and then all of a sudden, like his music hits. Imagine the pop that people would have given because nobody would have expected it. Nobody would have seen it coming. And all of a sudden it happens.
Right.
But I think that's what the problem is now today, is it kind of limits the element of surprise because you have the internet now and social media that people are dropping, being like, oh, the rumor is, this person's showing up, the rumor is this person's showing up, they're supposed to be showing up now or then or whatever.
Have you ever heard the phrase loose lips sink ships?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if everybody would shut up and stop telling everybody, it wouldn't be on the internet. Look at the Hardys coming into WrestleMania 33 and winning the tag titles, right? That was a huge shock, and the internet was full and up and going in 2017. But they literally had stuff over their heads and everything else. Nobody knew who they were.
I saw reports earlier that day that they were nearby, but
well, yeah, they were there. Yeah. They were there. They were at WrestleCon in Orlando.
Yep.
Absolutely, They were at WrestleCon, but nobody knew they were going to be debuting at WrestleMania.
yeah.
That was it. That was a huge surprise. They were signing autographs at WrestleCon that same day in Orlando, but so was 100 other wrestlers that didn't appear at WrestleMania. But that's the thing. If everybody would shut the hell up and stop telling everybody, hey, I'm going to WWE. Hey, I'm signing a contract. Hey, I'm doing. Why do we need to know as a fan? Why do we need to know when a wrestler signs a contract with a company? Why do we?
It kills the shock factor.
But why do we need to know that? Who cares?
Exactly.
It destroys storylines. It destroys that oh my gosh moment. What if we all heard on the internet the Undertaker was losing to Brock at WrestleMania 30 before it happened? Would we have cared as much? Would we have cried? Would we have been so upset? Probably not.
Right.
So if everybody again would shut up and stop telling all their business, hey, I'm signing with this company, hey, I'm leaving this company, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, it would all be better for the fans. And guess what happens when it's better for the fans? They spend that money, they buy the shirts, they buy the products, they buy the toys, and everybody makes money. And then the company goes from $1 billion company to a $2 billion company, and so on and so forth. And you have the best business minds in the world, but they can't seem to figure out that one little phrase: loose lips sink ships. Everybody needs to shut up.
So welcome in Vicky. She's saying hi, guys. So absolutely, how's it going tonight? And Roger's saying because controversy creates cash. Remember, absolutely. Big B, you're going to say something?
Yeah, the last shocking moment that got me to stop doing what I was doing was when Shane returned. When Vince was going to announce the first ever Vincent Kennedy award, Stephanie comes out, and then right before he presents it, Shane walks out. That's the last time I'm like, man, I do not remember anything being said that Shane McMahon was going to show up. I mean, but like Will said, people just need to be quiet. I mean, they're killing the shock factor. That's one thing I hate about the internet, is that you can look anywhere and you can find out who's going to be where. So, yeah, they wish there was some way to stop that, but because it's killing the shock factor.
Yeah, we have two comments that are coming. So Thomas saying Becky showing up at SummerSlam was awesome. Well, yeah, because that was something that nobody really saw coming. It was them, or it was her, and then when the Hardys showed up at WrestleMania in the ladder match, nobody knew that the Hardys were coming. And so it's So that was kind of one of the big shock factors too. But mess around, it looked like you were going to say something. So your last shock factor for you.
For me, it would be when Shane showed up on WCW years ago. That was the last time I was
that
truly
huge.
shocked.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I can tell you that's something that people probably didn't see coming either. But I definitely agree with you, Will. If people would do a lot of this, when it comes around, instead of,
Well, maybe Miz needs to put his hand up more so everybody does
Exactly.
right?
Your mouth goes shut, right?
She needs to pull a Miz. Yep.
So Cody's saying the last thing that shocked him was Cole and Danielson joining AEW at the paper. Not really, because a lot of people kind of knew that they were joining.
Yeah.
They just kind of didn't know when, but they knew that they were. And so Thomas is saying the pop for Becky Lynch was incredible. It is.
Oh, I bet.
That one was really incredible because it was a whole shock factor for it. And even while we're on that though, when you think about it though, it was also that same pay-per-view was Brock Lesnar showing up, and nobody was expecting him to show up at SummerSlam, and that pop was huge.
A lot of good that did. I mean, look what happened at WrestleMania. Roman beat him.
Right.
I know, but it was the shock factor though of it. Like people were not expecting him to come back, and he did.
I'm just messing with you, Ace. I know.
Oh, I know. I get you. So Roger was saying I was at the Cincinnati show following it, and their pops were awesome. And Lou saying shock factor for me was when Vince took off his shirt at WrestleMania, and he's still in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Vince is still ripped. I mean,
jacked.
He is, but I
gotta say though, that stunner he took was one of the worst ever I've seen.
So Vince has lost it up here, but not here.
No, he has not.
Oh yeah, like it actually shocked me when I saw him. I was like, dude, that dude is still jacked.
Yeah, dude is jacked.
Insane. For his age.
You know what kills me about Vince McMahon and about writing, because we all talk about how horrible the writing is.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have somebody like John, who I just spent the whole weekend with, and is just a phenomenal athlete, and he's not on national TV right now with AEW or WB, but you have so many others that are on TV right now, it is just an absolute shock to me. Like, how on earth is this guy down there running like crazy for AAA, doing an awesome job and doing all these things independently, when you have people like, and I'm sorry, please forgive me if you're a fan, people like Dominic Mysterio have a spot on the roster, because this guy is incredible. He needs to be hired. We need to make sure. I'm going to do everything I can. I don't know. I'm going to start a petition or something with Tony Khan or whatever, but we need to get John on TV. Yeah. And John is phenomenal. John needs to hold a World Heavyweight Championship, and the guy's in incredible shape, and I'm a very big advocate for him. And like Dominic Mysterio, I just can't imagine the dude's on TV. And no disrespect for him. I know he has fans, and I know he has a family and all that stuff, but their rosters are big enough to put these guys on TV, and somebody like John should be on television right now. He shouldn't be. No disrespect to AAA. AAA is a great organization, but he should be on national television every week. So, I just want to make sure I shouted that out real quick, that the guy's a tremendous talent.
So we are going to start our own wrestling promotion, and then we're going to go sign Johnny Drip Drip, and we're going to bring him in. So
why is Disco Inferno and Goldberg? And
can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Why is Karrion Kross not on national television every week? Why is Karrion Kross not on national television every week? I mean, why is Tommaso Ciampa on national television, but Karrion Kross is not? And again, sorry, I know there's Tommaso Ciampa fans, but why is Scarlett not on national television every week?
Why is Elias not back on TV? I mean,
why is Elias on TV while these other guys are unemployed? Or employed with independent organizations. Yeah. That's a great point.
Right.
So I want to make sure I reached out and throw that stuff out there. Karrion Kross, tremendous. That guy should be a world heavyweight champion.
Yep.
So Lou is saying that Dominic Mysterio is a spoiled brat. Well, it's simply because, because of his dad's name, which is why he's really up there, and he didn't have to go, through NXT or anything.
Well, that's the whole thing is he didn't have to go through NXT. They brought him in during COVID, and and I thought the more he got ring time, he would get better. But to me, it's time to put him on the shelf for a while.
Mm-hmm. And Joe was saying Cross chooses not to be. And so Thomas Glenn was saying about his last comment, and he's saying one of the best independent matches I saw was John Morrison versus Killer Cross here in Vegas.
What a great point. What a great point by the Chief, Thomas Glenn from Thoughts Count Anywhere on Saturday mornings. What a great point. Both two tremendous talents. Both guys should be holding world titles in organizations. Go put Karrion Kross or Killer Kross, whatever you want to call him this week, over in AEW and put him in a match with the Hangman and tell me who the talented one is. There's nothing wrong with Hangman, but those two guys can elevate each other to the next level. And you wouldn't have to worry about, when CM Punk's going to wear the world title, or you wouldn't have to worry about when Daniel Bryan wears the world title, because you're going to have these young guys that can carry the company for the next 10, 12, 15 years. These guys are incredible. I mean, they are absolutely incredible. So, I think it's our responsibility in today's day and age with modern technology and social media the way it is to start really reaching out and be heard. And whether it's, 10, 12, 15 people here listening to us right now or 600 people listening to us throughout the rest of the week on their own time, I think we as fans need to say, look, this is what I want to see. This is who I want to see. These guys should be top talents. Some of these older guys don't need to be on the top of the card. They don't need the belts to be what they are. They can be a little lower on the card. They don't need world titles. These younger guys need these world titles, because guess what's going to happen when Roman decides to retire? Who is going to be the next face? If Roman retired tomorrow, who would be the face of WWE tomorrow?
I don't even know who the next challenger for Roman Reigns is. So that's
okay.
And where the hell is Cesaro? Because you talk about another wasted talent that's nowhere found.
Mm-hmm. Saying that for years.
Cesaro.
It's our job. It's our responsibility as fans to start getting on Twitter, to get on Instagram, and let these promoters and promotions and these fans know, hey, look, these guys are who we want to see. These guys are the shirts we're going to buy. They're the merch we're going to buy. That's what we want to see. It's not their fault that WWE wrote a poor storyline or whatever company wrote a poor storyline and they're not on television. You take Karrion Kross, for example, dominant in NXT. The guy's awesome, 2-time NXT champion. You put him up on WWE Live TV on the main roster. You make him look like the missing, demolition member, like some sort of bondage character, and then you wonder why it fails. You put him in his first match on live TV. You drop him to Jeff Hardy in 97 seconds or whatever it was. It's no wonder it fails. That guy should be in the main roster. So should John Morrison. So should Scarlett, and so many others.
So when you were just really quick, Big B, when you were going to say this, Will, I figured I wanted to say something when you mentioned Adam Page. I wanted to say something, and I thought I might get a lot of flack for it, but it might just be me. But I'll tell you, I'm not a big fan of Adam Page.
Nobody is.
I'm really not. Like, this championship run, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, why? I don't understand. So I thought it was just me. Like, I'm just not really a big fan of Adam Page. I'm just not. Like,
nobody is.
But Big B, you were gonna say something.
So there's a comment here, Willis Domino. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. I'll pull it up here, Chris. Tony Khan only has so much money. Now the old saying is, money. It takes money to make money. You can't tell me that he doesn't sign Karrion Kross, John Morrison, Wyatt, any big name that's out there right now, that he ain't getting his money back. I mean, maybe it's just me, but he signs those three, he's getting his money back instantly. What do you guys think?
Well, absolutely. A great point, Big B. That's probably the point of the night right there. The return on investment is incredible. And that's what business is all about, is you invest the money and you get a return on investment. That's what's called profit. So that's a great point right there. Will's had another great point, too. What about Alex Hammerstone? He should be a champ on TV as well. Absolutely great point. Ben Bowman said Bray Wyatt should be on TV. Cross versus Balor in AEW. Absolutely. MLW needs a national TV deal. Great point. Thomas Glenn says, take my money. Listen to these guys' comments. You know what I mean? This is a fired up conversation. This is what Tuesday Night Mania is all about. And I'm telling you, get on your Instagram, get on your Twitter, shoot some tweets out. The world in 2022 is all about tweets.
Actually, Cody's got a good one here. Bring Cross in as a new member of Malister Kai's Black member House of whatever they call it.
House of Black, yeah, absolutely.
I tell you what, he'd be a better convincing person than Murphy was, or is, or whatever he's called over there now.
I agree. And you know what? You brought Cross in, you bring Scarlett in too. You got a man, you got a woman, you got a both.
And that's what killed Cross in WWE. They did bring Scarlett up with him, I think, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Will's made another good point. He wanted to like Adam Page, but the championship run hasn't worked.
It hasn't.
But when the championship run doesn't work, mess around, Dave, you take the belt off of them.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I would. I mean, it's not working. Nobody likes it, and they just keep going with it and hoping they eventually will catch on and people will start liking it. But I don't see it happening.
This is what Tuesday Night Mania is all about, guys.
Yep.
And if you said the word tweet back in 2008, people would be like, tweet, what are you talking about, a bird? You know what I mean? But we have that ability today to shoot a tweet out to Bruce Pritchard, to Tony Khan, to John Laurinaitis, to Vince McMahon, and Shane McMahon, Stephanie, all these people. We have this ability at our fingertips. We have abilities to start petitions online and say, hey, we want to see this as fans, and we're the ones that spend the money. Because guess what? If we don't spend the money, you don't get to pack the house at WrestleMania. And guess what happened this year? They didn't pack the house. They expected 100,000 fans each night, and they got an average of 67,000 each night. So they said,
I think the total was 150 something.
So I mean, think about that. So 76 each night, basically. So but you had the potential to do 102,000 per night. So if I could do, you look at the math. It's basic math. It's return on investment. It's business. It's product. It's selling T-shirts. It's selling cups with goofy little characters on them. And that's another thing. Another great point, Ace, is where are the characters? Bring back characters. Bring back storylines. I don't need to believe every wrestler is the baddest man on the planet and they're all real super cool people and they're real badass people. I want to see a character of a prison guard, and I want to see a character of a prisoner, and I want to see an Undertaker, and I want to see characters. I want to see the Immortal Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, but redeveloped in today's age. I don't need to see Tom Smith, who is just a really strong guy, and he goes out there and beats everybody up. I don't want to see that. That's what we call jobbers or enhancement talent back in the day. I don't want to see that. I want to see a storyline.
Yeah, so to come up to your point there, and this one actually came from Randy Orton. And keep in mind, like Randy Orton is like that 13 or 14 time world champion, that he's coming out and saying this, that he's saying the problem is now is that when he has matches with these veteran wrestlers, he said it's fantastic. But he said when he gets in the ring with these younger guys, number one, have no idea what in the hell they're doing. And number two, they have no idea how to build character. And Randy's like, that is the problem. That's why when people get angry that some of these guys aren't getting pushed, it's simply because, like Randy's saying, they don't know what the hell they're doing and they don't know how to build characters.
Right.
And so he said people can get angry that they're not getting pushed, but the problem is the person themselves. They don't know how to build anything. It's not like old school. They're too much into themselves and trying to get all their moves in rather than actually trying to build a character.
How many times have we covered this on here? It's all about spots.
Yep.
It is.
not about matches. It's not about telling a story. You know, Bret Hart would be the first one. If you ever listen to him talking in an interview, he'll say a wrestling match is telling a story. It's all about story.
Mhm.
You have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, in the beginning of the match, you have a super kick. In the middle of the match, you have a super kick. In the end of the match, you have a super kick. At some point, the super kick is just a kick. And I've said that a million times on here. You got to stop with that stuff. You got to tell the story. You can't have Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio versus the Street Profits every week and nothing ever gets decided. There has to be a reason they're feuding. You know, it has to be a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then they go on and they feud with somebody else. The tag team divisions right now in every single promotion out there, whether it be WWE, AEW, Impact, you know, no matter where it's at, AAA, the tag team divisions are all on fire and they have tremendous talent, and yet they're not showcased. It's very rare do you see a good, true tag team match as a main event or an upper card main event when they should be. RK Bro, although I'm not a fan of Riddle, RK Bro is a tremendous tag team that should be really highlighted because you got a huge leader in Randy Orton. And yet, what spot were they on the WrestleMania card? Weren't they like the third match or something on the second night?
Did they open second night?
Did they open the second night? Is that what it was? First match?
I thought both tag matches open WrestleMania.
Maybe it was. Maybe I'm thinking of the.
But you're right. You're right though, Will.
I'm thinking of the Kofi match, which was the New Day match. Maybe
which was a minute long.
Yeah, ridiculous, and only because they cut that match because the other matches ran long, and those guys complained. So they said, "Okay, you can have your match, and we're going to embarrass the shit out of you for complaining about it, and you can go out there and have 90 seconds of WrestleMania time." Now, I'm sure that they were happy just to have any WrestleMania time. Yeah. But you talk about tremendous talents, and they got 90 seconds. That's ridiculous. Yeah. So again.
But you know who could, you know what I found out that can make great talent and storylines? The Pittsburgh Pirates. I did not know Veer was a former Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher.
Yeah.
They could definitely develop talent.
Yeah. I think they should trade SmackDown and have him coming to SmackDown for like the next 4 months.
Yeah.
All right. Well, because this has been a great episode, but before we actually run out of time, I do want to touch on our last two topics, which our next one is, what is the first pay-per-view that you watched and what did you think about it? So Big B, I'll start with you. What was the first pay-per-view you've watched?
God, it's got to be WrestleMania 1. That's the only one that jumps into my mind right away. When they had it in two different areas, the big battle royal, I think, was WrestleMania 1. Hogan versus was it Piper in the main event of WrestleMania 1 when they had Ali there, Mr. T, and stuff like that. So to me, it was great. I mean, who would have thought it would have been this big of a phenomenon now? But yeah, WrestleMania 1 is what I can recall.
All right, mess around. How about you? What was the first pay-per-view that you watched, and what do you remember about it?
I believe it was WrestleMania 3 when Hogan went up against the Andre Giant, and it was a body slam heard around the world. That was the first one I watched, and that was like, after watching that match, I really became a fan. Of, like many kids growing up, Hogan was the guy, and you hear his music, and even today, you hear his music, you get goosebumps. And
all right, this ought to be interesting, Will. Your first pay-per-view that you watched.
So I've been watching consistently since 1987. And you're talking WrestleMania 3 time, but the first pay-per-view I really truly was into, really cared about, was interested in every match, was interested in every finish and all that stuff, and really dove into was SummerSlam 1993. And I talk about it a lot because it was so impactful for me, because from that point forward, it was a major, major part of my life. But, I mean, I had seen pay-per-views, I had seen matches, I had seen shows, but never consistently watched it. But that SummerSlam 93, watching this American hero coming out, flying in on a helicopter, body slamming the supposedly Japanese superstar who had taken away the belt. And you got to remember, too, he was doing a lot of bad things. He was squashing a lot of people. Yokozuna was, you know, he was squashing them, with bonsai drops and, breaking ribs and putting people in the hospitals and all that stuff. And, they really built the bad guy character up. Like, you were supposed to be afraid of him as a bad guy. And here was this American hero like Captain America, full of muscles, going out there, going to challenge him and was going to stop all that. Of course, unfortunately, if you watch that pay-per-view or you know anything about it, it ended like in a count out and it was awful and nothing was ever really decided. And it's probably the biggest like blemish in wrestling for me. Like, if I could go back and change one moment in wrestling, it would probably be that I would have had Lex win the belt, even if he dropped it, shortly after on Monday Night Raw to Yokozuna or Ludwig Borga, who was another big heel at the time. But, that's from that moment forward, I consistently really, really watched it, knew everything about it, went back and rewatched everything I had seen consistently, learned the history. But, for me, that was a huge moment. I have pictures in my house on my walls from that moment. I mean, I have a lot of different pictures and posters and stuff, but like that for me was what really, truly started it all for me. The almost, I would say, obsession, or I would say the love for everything about it.
All right, so we have a few comments here. So Nate's saying that his first pay-per-view he watched was Royal Rumble 2010, and Lou's saying that she thinks her first one was Wendy Ricker versus Moolah for the first time. Wills is saying Royal Rumble 1998. And then we have Dave Kokensberg who's saying it was Evander Holyfield fight. So
well, that guy's in the wrong chat.
Yeah. And then Tom is saying the first pay-per-view I watched was SummerSlam 1991.
That's a good one. Go watch that one. That's a good one.
And then Roger Cooper saying my first pay-per-view match was St. Valentine's Day Massacre, the debut of the Big Show in WWF. And then Cody saying WrestleMania 20 was his. He watched it with his dad. And mine was a long time ago, and for some reason I can't remember the first one I watched. It makes me think it was a Royal Rumble, I think, but I'm really not sure. But I can tell you my favorite one was the Armageddon Hell in a Cell, the 6-man. That was probably one of my favorite matches that I've seen on a pay-per-view, because I was like, man, you had some talent in that ring. That was great. And how Kurt Angle survived that match to keep his championship.
Can we make a couple good points there? First of all, half those people that answer that question must be way younger than me.
Yep.
And second of all, SummerSlam 91, Thomas Brunette, another great friend of mine, pointed out that's an awesome pay-per-view. If you haven't watched it or you haven't watched it lately, go watch it. Royal Rumble 98 was awesome. That's when they were giving Austin his push to go on to WrestleMania to become champion. WrestleMania 20 was where it all began again. Remember, that's the last time they went back to Madison Square Garden. So WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 10, and WrestleMania 20 were held in Madison Square Garden. So on that WrestleMania 20 card, you had some major matches like Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. You had Shawn Michaels in the triple threat with Triple H and Benoit. You had some awesome matches on that card. And then also, too, that St. Valentine's Day Massacre, if you guys remember that, Big Show comes out of the middle of the ring and supposedly throws Austin so hard that he hits the cage. The cage comes spinning wide open, and he falls out on the floor, and that's how he won. So those are some great events that got pointed out. I would recommend going back and watching any of those. And remember, too, that WrestleMania is the first WrestleMania where The Rock wasn't working for WWE full-time. So he comes back to have a match with the Rock and Sock Connection versus Evolution, which was Flair, Batista, and Orton. So, I mean, you got to remember that, too. There's some great matches on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I do remember that one because he ended up showing up because they were always giving Mick Foley a 3-on-1 beatdown, and he ended up bringing The Rock back for that little feud right there.
Because he brought him back the night the Raw before that.
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
taunting them. Yeah.
So, anyways, we're at that time now. We're at the end of the show. It's been a great show. So, Big B, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll start out with you. What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts are, great show. Love chatting. Me and Will, I think everybody kind of got the same mindset. We were going to talk about memorabilia. I got to say, even though it's a toy belt, I found this week at a Goodwill. And I was a kid in a candy store when I saw it. I was getting it. So the wife kind of laughed at me. My son kind of like, that's yours. So, but outside of that, keep checking out Coast to Coast Thursday. Ohio Valley Wrestling will be premiering on our websites, but just keep checking out everything to do with Coast to Coast.
All right, mess around.
I'm happy to be on the show. Now that I got a job where I'm on 5 o'clock every day, I hope to be on more if you guys will have me.
Nope.
So good time here.
And then, of course, Will, your final thoughts.
So a couple things. Number one, of course we'll have you mess around. You have like the funniest memes ever, and you're one of my favorite people out there. So of course we'll have you, but you're gonna have to learn to talk more because you can't let me talk through the whole show. Number two, the point that I want to make is, sometimes it's really disappointing to meet your heroes, but maybe those aren't the people that should be your heroes. Maybe the people that should be your heroes are people like Thomas Glenn, who's in here right now. That dude served in the military and retired from the military, served in the Navy. The guy runs a podcast. I have very much respect for him, and that guy is a real world hero. So we should be looking at people like that as our heroes and not necessarily the wrestlers and the athletes and all that stuff.
Nope.
And I guarantee you, if you walked up to Thomas Glenn, Chief, the guy we refer to as Chief, and said, "Can I have your autograph?" he wouldn't tell you no. And the guy's tremendous. He runs Stock Scout Anywhere with Aaron Phillips and Matt Mullen on Saturday mornings. So huge shout out to my friend and somebody who I really look up to and respect a lot. The guy's a great guy. So I wanted to shout that out. Next thing I want to say is thank you so much to Top Rope Collectibles. That's my group. Great group of admins, great group of members. The Tag Champs Wrestling Auctions page where we just did our sale. Huge thank you to everybody there. Guys, you won't get a lot of thank yous out there these days because people don't have manners anymore and people don't have respect anymore. But we do in our groups, and here in Coast to Coast Entertainment Network, we do as well. So, guys, we thank you. We appreciate you. And I absolutely love seeing everybody. You guys may not know this because you guys come in kind of late, but I promoted the heck out of everybody coming in tonight and watching and listening to us talk. And, I want to see this every week. And this is exactly how I envision Tuesday Night Mania is talking like this. And I want to get fans. I want to get those people in the comment section. I want to get them on here, one at a time or a couple at a time and get them talking about wrestling because we can have some really awesome conversations. So, but, humongous thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I love being on here, being able to get on here and speak my mind. It's after, 10 o'clock, so I can use a few choice words, not too many, but a few choice words, and I can drink a beer and puff my little electronic smoker and, just relax and talk about something that's so cool. But we have an obligation. We have a financial obligation as a fan to start doing something about this stuff because it's time that we do things. And I'm not saying I'm trying to start a movement or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm telling you guys, we have an obligation, a financial obligation. We pay for the network or the Peacock. We pay for pay-per-views. We pay for shirts. We pay for tickets to events. We pay for magazines or whatever. We need to get the product we're looking for, and we're going to have to start speaking up, and we got to do it together to make some changes in these things. I really appreciate everybody, and thank you for tuning in. Ace, back to you.
Absolutely. We definitely want to thank everybody, and please, on Thursday night, come and check out our first live stream of OVW. It's going to be fantastic. We hope to see you there. We hope to get a lot of fan interaction as it's going on. We're hoping to be able to sign some more deals with some other companies to actually stream more. And definitely, Will, you have some fantastic stuff there on Top Rope Collectibles. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I love it. And definitely shout out to Thomas, Glenn, and anybody else who have served. Thank you very much. We definitely appreciate it. Thank you, Chris, for doing all the background stuff. And yes, continue to watch Tuesday Night Mania. Tell your friends about it. Have them come and watch the show. And don't forget, even Sunday night, we even have Between the Ropes, another great wrestling show too. So you can check that out on Sunday night. So with that, we want to thank everybody for watching. And we will see you next Tuesday for another episode of Tuesday Night Mania. Have a fantastic night.